Here in the desert, money doesn't talk, it shouts. Here, people demand the best out of life, and they want it now. Fast cars, great beaches, jet skis, fabulous architecture, and some quirky sports. At least you don't have to buy an embarrassing pom-pom hat. Until now, sand dune skiing has been the only way you could ski in Dubai, but not for long. The latest grand project is to build a ski resort with real snow right here in the desert. The kings of construction will turn the dream of making snow in the desert into reality. Chief Executive Phil Taylor, he has to deliver the biggest and best indoor ski resort in the world and do it on time and on budget. Head of construction, Tim Kelly, he's responsible for building the world's largest real snow ski dome in the world's unlikeliest location. Long-suffering production director Stuart Ingram, the troubleshooter. He's paid by the owners to protect their interests. He has to watch the calendar and count the pennies. Uncompromising engineer Malcolm Clulow. He's cracked the secret of making real powder snow artificially, but he's never had to do it in a baking hot desert. Ski Dubai is a massive engineering project demanding solutions to some unprecedented problems. How do you lift a 3,000-ton section of ski slope 197 feet in the air?
That's where eventually this has to end up.
How do you build the world's biggest artificial ski slope in record time?
Would it not have helped if we'd been told about this last week?
The pressure on everyone now is just enormous. There's so much at stake.
The temperature is unbearably hot.
So apart from working in this horrendous heat, we've now got no electricity.
They're nearly at breaking point.
And if we don't open in time, there's huge penalties for everybody.
This is the land of bling. Even though Dubai's oil is running out, its economy is booming. Dubai's rulers have encouraged the development of tourism. Tourists love to shop, and Dubai is the shopping mall capital of the Gulf. But how do you make your mall stand out from the others? The developers of Mall of the Emirates believe they have it cracked. This giant construction site covers 6.5 million square feet of desert. It'll offer 2 luxury hotels of 900 rooms, car parking for 7,000 cars, a 14-screen cinema, and this, Ski Dubai. Khalid and Yusuf bin Laj are part of Dubai's young elite and 2 of Ski Dubai's future customers. They can't wait to start snow skiing.
It's kind of ironic we're in the middle of the desert and we're building a ski slope, but because it will finally give people who live here, like me, an opportunity to go skiing without traveling to Switzerland or something, you know? Like I've never seen snow.
But building a snow dome in a desert requires some very complicated technology. To keep the snow from melting, they've built a massive, sophisticated cooling system, a labyrinth of pipes filled with chemicals. But there's a problem. The chemicals are highly toxic. One of them, ammonia, is lethal.
It's a very efficient refrigerant, but it can be explosive in certain concentrations. You have to take measures, A, to stop it leaking into the environment, and B, if it does leak into the environment, you limit that leak. You wouldn't want it filling that space with gas and asphyxiating and killing people.
During routine inspections, Malcolm has become alarmed. There's more than 50 miles of pipework on the site, and the quality of the welding looks to him substandard. If it is, the cooling system is a potential time bomb. Even if it can be fixed, Ski Dubai may not open on time. and its builders stand to lose millions of dollars. Competition between Dubai's malls to attract big spenders is intense. But how do developers make their mall stand out? The owners of the Mall of the Emirates have an answer. Build an alpine snow resort in the middle of the desert. Ski Dubai. Ski Dubai will have a curved slope 1,312 feet long. It'll be the world's longest indoor ski run using real snow technology. Other ski domes around the world are built the easy way. The owners find a nice steep slope and put a roof over the top. But there are no hills in Dubai, only sand dunes. So Ski Dubai is being built on stilts over the world's largest shopping mall outside North America, the third biggest in the world. But how do you recreate real mountain snow in an artificial indoor environment? Inventor Malcolm Clulow has cracked nature's code. And here's the proof. This is Xscape Snow Dome in Milton Keynes, UK, one of the world's best indoor ski slopes. Malcolm's groundbreaking technology has produced this snow.
We wanted to make real snow, but real snow grows in flight through the atmosphere and forms a crystal shape that you can recognise against a chart of different snow crystals. And there are more than 250 different kinds of snow. The Eskimos, in fact, have got more than 200 names for snow.
In Milton Keynes, Malcolm's technology has been producing perfect powder snow for 5 years. This snow forms complex crystals in flight, just like the real thing. The flakes look, feel, and taste just like alpine snow. From these small guns, water is sprayed in a fine mist which forms a cloud. This vapor is then seeded with tiny invisible ice particles, only 10 microns thick. The particles are the nucleus around which the perfect snow crystals form. To keep the dome's 270,000 square feet at the right temperature, you need 10 megawatts of cooling capacity, with 24 coolers suspended from the ceiling. Temperatures inside Ski Dubai will be a constant 28 degrees Fahrenheit for skiing and 21 for snowmaking. And it all comes with a guarantee that 8 inches of fresh powder will fall every night. That's around 30 tons.
The area of snow in here is equivalent to 3 football pitches, if that gives you an idea of the size of this, the space that we've created. We needed it completely column-free, which is how you end up with this 80-metre span, which is phenomenal as a size. And one of the things that I hope you can sort of quite see through here is this isn't a flat gradient or a level slope. This has got all variation of cambers, really aimed at making it feel like a real mountain would be.
Ski Dubai will have 5 different slope gradients, including the world's first indoor black run. When covered with snow, this area of the slope will be 45 degrees. That's steep enough to force the most experienced skier into making jump turns. But with a run this steep, if you want to avoid a disaster, you need to come up with some novel engineering solutions.
Just to this side, you can see one of our black runs, and it's actually being built in steps. And the reason is that if we don't build it in steps, the fear is that we'd actually have an avalanche with the snow sliding down the whole of the piste. So really trying to be very careful, because when you're building at these gradients, you've got to consider factors like that. And it's an example of how we're innovating the engineering of ski centres and indoor ski centres all the time.
These problems are an engineer's nightmare and dream. Head of construction Tim Kelly is a man who takes pride in his work.
This is a work of art, this. I mean, I just feel really, really sad that they're going to cover up all the soffit. You're never going to see it, but just all the radial beams, the way it all comes together, the view you see of this, and the expanse of this volume. To me, this is unique, this.
The bizarre engineering challenge is to bring, effectively, a snow-capped mountain into the sweltering desert. To make the snow and to keep it from melting, you need miles of pipes filled with dangerous chemicals. Given the risks, the authorities insist on the highest quality of materials and workmanship.
Selection of pipe materials, selection of valves, selection of everything within the ammonia system, including the grade of welding that's applied on site.
Ammonia, an extremely hazardous toxic chemical, is the main refrigerant. But during routine inspections, Malcolm has become alarmed that the ammonia cooling system may be unsafe.
Because this refrigerant is explosive and is toxic, someone could get killed.
If the safety of Ski Dubai's cooling system is in doubt, then the project cannot move forward. Malcolm Clulow is most concerned about the quality of the welding.
See, that's where we're going to have considerable problems, if that's a repair. Which it looks as if it might be.
Yeah.
This is such a big problem, you know, there's so many welds close together.
Yeah. It's even rusting on the weld, which is never a good sign either.
Yeah. You almost get to a point where strip it out and start again is the
most practical.
As part of their agreement, the contractors have to test 10% of the welds using non-destructive methods, meaning either X-rays or ultrasonic imaging.
They chose to do an X-ray test, and you can see whether you get full fusion, whether you get any what's called inclusions, which would be oxides or dirt particles that have gotten into the weld in the process. And normally you would allow up to 10% of the 10% as a failure rate. Anything over that, and you increase the non-destructive test to 100%, because what it's telling you is that the welders are not up to the job.
The results alarm the senior engineers.
What we found was we got 40% failure of the 10%, which is huge. Look at the rust on the inside of the pipe as well.
The welding inspector gives his verdict.
How much of that, Roger, would be caused by the prep and how much by the fusion weld?
The lack of fusion and lack of penetration that you're getting, I think, now is a welding defect based on welding or fit-up. Maybe the fitters who are fitting it up for the welder, mismatch in size is a problem.
Yeah.
You know, fitter is an art to get it ready for the welder.
Yeah.
The contractors have already started repairing the welds, but even if the welds are repaired, will they be safe? Repeated welding can make pipes brittle.
Okay, generally they say repair 1, repair 2, repair 3, cut it out. It goes brittle.
Yeah. I think we've already seen evidence of a crack appearing on it.
There you go. So this is one of the reasons why they say, well, it's best to take it out and refit it.
The contractors are in for a grilling. In the meeting, the contractor agrees to X-ray test every weld and repair, and then retest any failures in the ammonia plant. Meanwhile, engineers are facing one of the biggest challenges of this entire operation. Their task is to lift a 3,000-ton section of ski slope 200 feet in the air. Most buildings are built from the ground up. The higher you go, the more scaffolding you need. Project director Stuart Ingram has decided to use a method that'll save time and money.
One of the big hidden costs that you'll see on jobs of high structures or whatever else is the temporary works that are required to build it. And that was one of the big drivers that led us to push away from traditional construction to strand jack.
Strand jacking means constructing a building on or close to the ground and then lifting it into its final position. This 300-foot section of ski slope is nearly complete. Today it's close to the ground, but not for long. Soon it'll be lifted 200 feet to form the upper section of the slope.
What you can see from here is the big floor truss at the back there. That's where eventually this has to end up. So you can see the roof rafters at the top. Those roof rafters match the level of the end of that roof. So that all has to close up and some distance. You start to get the scale of it from here.
These are the machines that'll hoist the load. Each hydraulic strand jack can lift 500 tons. The slope will have 16 jacks, 4 on each corner. Hoisting this massive slab of concrete and steel will take 2 days.
This is equivalent about the weight of 20 jumbo jets. To lift that up into the air, to control it, to position it exactly into the right place, making sure it fits. It's just a fantastic feat of engineering.
The final checks for the lift can start, but things aren't going according to plan. Tim has returned to his office. He's concerned that the weather is deteriorating. Should he call the operation off?
On the weather forecast here, I don't know if you can see it. You can see here the wind speed in knots. And what we have here, which is concerning to us, is that sometime in the afternoon this evening is a peak before it starts to ease. The wind, the effect of the wind on the structure is something we've always been debating. It's something we've been nervous about. Yeah. You don't want something that heavy uncontrolled. You know, you're talking about 3,000 tonnes on an end of a rope. You know, once it starts to swing, basically the thing will start moving like a pendulum.
You can't stop it.
You can't stop it.
So decision is?
Decision is
tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning, first
thing.
The strong winds arrive and a sandstorm develops. In Dubai, a sandstorm can last 5 days.
Obviously very disappointed the lift hasn't gone ahead today, but that's better to be on the safe side, and it's far better that we heed the warnings of the weather forecasters and the engineers, and obviously call it for tomorrow now, but disappointing.
The Strand Jack lift at Ski Dubai is held up by high winds, but work on the world's third largest shopping mall is progressing. Dubai-based entrepreneur Shahryar Khojisteh is looking forward to opening his extreme sports shop Rampage in the new mall of the Emirates. But there's still a lot of work to be done.
Rampage is all about skate, surf and snow. What's going to happen is that the shop front is going to be as though you're walking through a big pair of snow goggles. So you'll walk through the arch of the nose bridge, basically.
Shahryar has done his research and he knows his potential customers.
With these indoor ski parks, you get a lot of very fast and good progression with the kids that are learning these sports, and they end up becoming better than the guys that are out on the mountains because they can do it every day.
But given the construction holdups, will his shop open on time? Both the shopping mall and Ski Dubai are supposed to open together in 10 weeks' time. But the mall is now 3 weeks behind schedule and Ski Dubai a month behind. The contractors are under pressure to catch up, and the local weather is not helping the situation. Luckily, the sandstorm is blown over during the night. The weather's now perfect for strand jacking. The workers arrive at the site full of anticipation. Today is the day. Stress levels build as the new lift deadline approaches.
Look at it now, it's not a breath, it's great. It's a huge difference. Everyone's really looking forward to it, I tell you. They're really looking forward to it.
Tim has to hand over control to what engineers call a lift master, Rajajanpal Damodaran. His friends call him Damo. It's a highly specialized job, and Damo's the most experienced lift master in Dubai. Before going ahead, all the chief engineers have to agree that the structure is ready to lift.
We want to get a no objection.
With the documents signed, the responsibility is now Damo's.
All right, Damo, it's all yours, mate. Away you go.
Most of the lift engineers are Hindu, and to placate the gods, they hold a religious ceremony before the lift can begin. All the senior engineers are asked to join in.
Generally, in order to make sure that the lift goes smoothly, we conduct such kind of prayers, just the belief, to see that no accidents happens. So it's just for safety.
The head of construction, Tim Kelly, is also feeling anxious.
There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and down the worst things is it could fall.
After hours of anxious anticipation, the lift starts.
Okay, 4 and 5? 4 on plus and 4 cannot.
The hydraulic jacks hoist the strands inch by inch. The first fifth of an inch is the hardest. This is where all the stresses are at their most critical.
It's been erected on a series of legs, if you like, and these legs are in a different profile or a different shape as to what it will be eventually. So as we start to lift it, the structure will move on its own accord and start to flex and bend and take its final position.
The ends lift first. The rigid concrete and steel structure bends and sags slightly in the middle, so the center is last to rise up. Now the structure begins to make long, low groans. This is the slope flexing as it lifts off its supports.
That's part of what we're looking for. We're trying to hear what the structure does. It almost tells you what's going on. Good noise is sort of a squeak type, so sort of a stretching thing. A bad noise is a crack. If you hear a bloody bad thump, then...
The operation is going to plan, and the structure clears its supports. Then there's a problem. The Strand-Jack computer system suddenly crashes. The system regulates the jacks so that the structure stays level. If the lift is uneven, the 3,000-ton section will twist, buckle, and collapse. The Strand-Jack lift at Ski Dubai has come to a sudden halt. The engineers must find out what's caused the computer crash. How long will the 3,000-ton slope have to dangle in midair? If a strong wind suddenly develops, as they often do in Dubai, the structure is vulnerable. The massive surface area could become a huge sail swaying in the gusts and smash the Strand-Jack towers. The fault is basic, but it's taken an hour to locate. A vital power cable has failed. Relieved, Damo restarts the lift. But time is against him, and soon he's forced to break for the night. They've lost valuable time. Dawn. The lift starts early, and the lift team make good progress in the day.
Check 1 second that lifting frame points.
But at 5:30 in the afternoon, it's the sound that Strand-Jack engineers dread. Everyone stops. They need to know what's happened. Is the structure safe? Are the jacking towers able to withstand the load? Have any steel strands failed and snapped? Are the jacks working properly? Liftmaster Rajajanpal Damodaran, Damo, halts the jacks and the operation. Night's approaching, and he orders checks on every load-bearing joint and weld. One may have burst and others could follow. It's better to leave the slope to the mercy of the wind than to press on with unsafe jacks. Every available engineer is assigned to checking. The fault must be found. This team examines the wind guides, the brackets that help keep the structure stable. one may have snapped. After an hour and a half, they find the fault.
We took 100% load on early in the afternoon. The tower's shortened, so you can imagine all that load going onto the towers. The steel actually compresses slowly. What we have is a series of connections onto the pylons because those towers at that end are quite high. What happened is that as it shortened, one of the sliding connections was supposed to slide sort of bound a bit, and then later on just dropped it into its position. That was the noise we all heard, and it's a very sharp thud. You know, you've got 3,000 tonne hanging on some strands here. Everyone's immediately thinking, you know, we've got a weld failure or something like that. Everyone starts running around.
With all the checks completed, Damo can continue. Excellent progress is made, more than 98 feet. The final fractions of an inch are critical. Every strand must be at exactly the right level. There's no margin for error. The lift is over and the team celebrates. But the construction of Ski Dubai is now 6.5 weeks behind schedule. The next phase of construction. Production director Stuart Ingram's day begins badly. The drag lift ramp that will haul skiers to the top of the Black Run is too steep and too short. This ramp was difficult and expensive to secure to the cladded walls. Now Stuart has to tear it down and rebuild it.
When you saw the work that was involved in putting the initial or the original steel support in, there's a considerable amount of work involved in doing it, and now we need to replicate it.
It's yet another delay that will cost time and money. The July temperature has risen to an unbearable 127.4 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not just the engineers who are behind schedule. The interior designers are too. They're carving artificial rock out of concrete, but it's setting fast. Then, without warning, the power shuts down. The carver's tools are now useless and work has to stop.
The problem we've got right now is, you know, one of the phases has gone down with the power. So apart from working in this horrendous heat, we've now got no electricity. So the danger is that all the material you've sprayed on the wall is all now going to go off before we can start carving.
Putting more people on the job isn't an option.
It's a huge problem because the work that we do is an art. You know, we've got artists carving in wet cement, and you cannot get more artists. You can't go to the market and say, give me 10 more artists. You've only got the team that we have. So it's an extremely difficult thing to catch up time.
But still, the problems continue. Project director Stuart Ingram's day is getting even worse. He's chairing a meeting with the French chairlift constructors, but he's about to receive an unwanted surprise.
This is a big problem for Christian.
The two ends of the cable have to be spliced together, and this is a bigger job than Stuart had imagined.
All the cable, how do you say in English? Splice? Splice. Yeah. 15 meters. 50.
If the cable splice is 160 feet long, then the platform for the cable gang will need to be far bigger than Stuart had planned.
Because it's a lot bigger. I was expecting a splice about this big. No, not 50 meters, but never mind. It's all very exciting, right? a range platform. So if you can just tell us how much.
The start around here, the scaffolding, 65 meters.
65
meters of scaffolding for 10 people.
10 people?
10 people for all this place for work, 2 days.
So would it not have helped if we'd been told about this last week? Because this is the first I've heard about this 65-meter platform. This is quite...
No, it's not first time.
It's first time for me.
Yes, I think so.
So that's what I'm saying. It's a first time for me.
Okay.
So we have not. I haven't made preparation for it. You know, if we knew about it, we could have then got scaffold on site ready to be assembled.
Yes.
Ski Dubai is now 8 weeks behind schedule.
We're a little bit further behind schedule than we'd like to be. The pressure on everyone now is just enormous. There's so much at stake. I mean, there's huge penalties on the contractors if they're delayed, but also for the retailers. They've got their season's collections in. If we don't open in time, there's huge penalties for everybody.
The next engineering challenge at Ski Dubai is to get the cable lift up and running. The cable needs to be wound round the pulleys. The engineer in charge of the chairlift, Christian Chapelot, wants to start work. Christian's team needs 4 walkie-talkies to complete the job, but they've only been given 3.
Walkie-talkie.
Christian doesn't have one and can't direct the action. Work has to stop. He's unhappy.
J'ai pas la radio. Donc on peut pas dérouler. C'est très simple et très compliqué à la fois.
But miracles can happen. Project director Stuart Ingram has managed to locate the scaffolding needed for Christian's 200-foot platform. Now armed with his walkie-talkie, Christian can start.
Ok Alain, tu peux tirer, je suis à la moitié moi. Allez, on roule. Be careful.
But Christian's not happy for long. Now there's a problem with the winch and cable drum. The clamps supporting the drum are too small. The drum is now unstable, and if they carry on, it'll topple over. Christian has had enough.
C'est fini.
On n'a plus qu'à breaker, donc
pose les freins.
Je vais remettre en circulant.
C'est une petite heure, plus 20 minutes, plus 6, ça va nous prendre. On va finir au départ, on avait dit 6 heures. On va arriver à 1 journée et demie bientôt. Si ça continue comme ça. C'est la vie.
All these problems mean that Ski Dubai is now even further behind schedule. The teams of instructors and support staff have arrived to find a ski resort with no Back at Ski Dubai, the welding for the cooling system has become an issue once again. Ammonia is used to cool the glycol antifreeze, which is then piped under the snow. The ammonia system failed several tests, and the problems are now being corrected. But none of the 4,500 welds in the glycol system has yet been inspected. And after the experience with the ammonia welds, Malcolm Clulow is concerned.
There is a life safety issue with the glycol as well, because although it's not a volatile refrigerant, it doesn't boil as a gas. This glycol, it can be down as low as minus 25 centigrade, which is 55 degrees C below skin temperature. So it would be like pouring water at 85 centigrade on your skin, which would cause a burn. You know, we've got 10-inch pipes out there full of glycol with the static head from the whole slope on them. So, you know, if you've got a major break, there could be a huge fountain pouring over the general public and someone could get killed. Because they've had so many failures on the ammonia, it's the same welders that are working on the glycol. So they're not just doing a few welds bad, they must be doing all the welds bad, you must suspect.
As it happens, the welds are fine, but as Malcolm doesn't know it yet, he's still highly suspicious. Meanwhile, the shopping mall is a month behind schedule, but 160 stores are opening tomorrow. Shahryar Khojiste is in his extreme sports shop. Stress levels are high. There's much to do.
1 o'clock's too late. You got to call him now. No, but this is supposed to be checker plate. How many sandals will go on this? Someone tell me. Sharon, we need now. No, but listen, are you going to set up the sound system in here? The sprinkler guy also has to come and straighten up the sprinkler. The sprinkler system is not aligned very well. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I need stuff to be straight. So that has to be fixed. There's some lighting issues that the guys have to come back and fix again, but that'll happen probably after the opening. Would have liked to have opened with a perfect store, but these things sometimes don't go your way. But overall, we're very, very happy, but there's a lot of things to be done yet.
Shahryar and his staff are not the only people feeling the pressure. The main road in and out of the mall is only half finished, and project director Stuart Ingram is organizing the final push for completion.
No, this is quite a common occurrence on our last day. We've basically got a very labour-intensive activity, which is block paving. And the thing is, you can just throw hundreds of guys at it. So literally, we've had probably 200, 300 guys on this for the last 3 days, blitzing this area all the way from the car park round, making the final link. You'd be amazed, 4 or 5 hours of cleaning, road markings on the top, it'd look like a finished job.
The mall is almost finished, but Ski Dubai is nearly 12 weeks behind schedule. Any outstanding technical problems must be resolved, and quickly. This calls for another meeting with the contractors.
Yeah, we've seen so much evidence of bad fit-up on welds. Inspect looked at the photographs that we got on the ammonia fit-up, and his view was he would have rejected 95% of it.
The fires that whatever reason, there's no need to make horror stories.
We're not making horror stories. What you demonstrate
turns around. Okay, I don't like that. I don't think you're being fair.
Based on the evidence that we've seen on some of the ammonia pipe, where we have to retest and re-weld, then that's where we are, and that's the confidence. We need to build that confidence and level up. And in doing so, the best thing we can do is go out and do some representative sampling.
To make sure that the cooling system is safe, Malcolm and Stuart want the contractor to test 10% of the welds by X-ray. The welds are in fact good, but Malcolm and Stuart don't know it yet, and still make the contractor sweat.
I would say 97% of the welding has been completed and so. What you're saying implies that we're not doing it. So
it's not a question in people's ability or anything like that. It's just technical issues that we want to have closed.
I mean, one thing also you will have to accept is that this project cannot start this quickly.
That's not on the agenda today. That's not on the agenda.
That's part of the
that's an assumption, Wally, that you're assuming that you're going to help lots of people.
Look, you forget September, forget October. You're dreaming for a white Christmas.
All right. Okay. We suspect the contractor is putting up this shield because he knows full well that we'll have the same level of failure on the glycol pipework that we've had on the ammonia pipework, at least, which would mean we'll immediately require him to go to 100% X-ray test on 3,000 odd welds, and that will take a huge amount of time and a huge amount of cost.
Ski Dubai is already seriously over budget and behind schedule. All the stores in the new mall are depending on the resort to attract record numbers of tourists and sightseers with money to spend. Structurally, Ski Dubai is almost complete. All it needs is snow, 6,000 tons of it. That'll take a month to produce. But first, the technical problems have to be solved. The French chairlift engineers will soon be finished, and all that remains for them to do is to attach the chairs to the cable. The shopping mall has to open without Ski Dubai. The owners have decided that it'll be a low-key affair and save the big celebration for when Ski Dubai opens. But Shahryar Khojesteh wants some of his best future customers to open his new store, and a formal ribbon-cutting ceremony just isn't their style. Back at Ski Dubai, engineers have been testing the cooling system.
We've had our share of challenges, particularly on the technical side. The systems have been tested on, off, switch them off, make more adjustments. Checking the welding, we've done considerable testing, pressure testing, vacuum testing on the welding, so we can be absolutely certain. This is not the kind of thing that once it's fully operational, you just switch it off, melt down 6,000 tons of snow and make a few adjustments. We have to be absolutely perfect when we go sub-zero, and we're ready, we're at that stage now.
Finally, all the technical problems at Ski Dubai are solved. It's 3 months late, but snow has finally started to fall in the desert.
It's just amazing. I mean, it's just fantastic that it's finally happening. It is snowing in Dubai.
They said it was impossible to build a ski resort with real snow in this searing heat. But engineers like Stuart Ingram, Malcolm Clulow, Tim Kelly, and Philip Taylor found a way.